Man, the voice, the heart, the soul of the Cayman Islands.
The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Medical Supplies. Call them at 949-6211. And Cayman Insurance Center, celebrating 45 years in the Cayman Islands, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Health City, now open at Camana Bay 7 days a week. Optical Outlook, now at their new location in Anderson Square. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook. And Lee's Office Products Limited, at Paddington Place, Godfrey Nixon Way, moving your business forward.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Business Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. This is where we address the business topics that matter. Radio Cayman's Business Buzz. Here's your host, Anita Khan.
Good morning, a pleasant Thursday morning to everyone. It's a pleasure to be on the Business Buzz this morning. Good morning to Miss Susan Watson, our producer, and she's covering the board this morning as well. Good morning to all our listeners. If you're stranded in traffic this morning, just hang in there. You'll get to work or get to where you're going on time, hopefully. And to all our to our viewers on YouTube, good morning to you as well. In this segment of the Business Buzz, and this morning it's only one segment, we will cover topics relating to family law, such as protection strategies from domestic violence, children's legal arrangements, guardianship and receiverships, divorces and wills. And if you're curious about these topics this morning, well, stay tuned as we chat with attorney Miss Lisa Donalds. Miss Lisa is the founder of Phoenix Legal. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you on the Business Buzz this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here. It is great. Happy to be back. I was here last year with the former host, who is now an MP.
That's
but
right.
Yes, it was a really good segment then, and I'm hoping for a great segment today.
Let's hope we can top Miss Sabrina's. No, I don't think so. But it's a pleasure to have you in the studio this morning. So you are the founder of Phoenix Legal.
Yes, and it's the first exclusively focused family law firm in the Cayman Islands.
Okay. And what year did you get this started, Lisa?
It was fully licensed in October 2019, but I started actively marketing May 2020, which is, everyone always laughs, like in the middle of COVID, you started to market a business. But yeah, I did. And it was a service that was needed. I recognized that there was a gap in the market of families needing to be able to access sound legal advice. And I decided to fill that gap and meet that need.
Hopefully I can get some free advice this morning.
Hey, that's what we're here for.
Kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, that's exactly what we're here for. One of the the values for the firm is to be accessible, to be collaborative, and also to be empathetic. So it's about, at the end of the day, one of the reasons why Phoenix Legal exists is to empower people. I mean, if you think of the legend of the Phoenix, it's about that transformation and creating a new life.
Okay, and you're very accessible.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, even features that are built into the website, it allows it, if someone sends an inquiry, it automatically then goes to my inbox, and then I can access that and try to respond to that person's inquiry, and then setting up consultations. They can either be in person, virtual, depending on what that potential client needs.
Yeah, I love your website. I was there this morning.
Thank you.
Lovely website. Now, Lisa, what is the legal definition of, let's go straight into this, guardianship and receivership?
Okay, so guardianship they're both court applications. They're usually conjoined. They're they deal with two separate issues, but typically you see them dealt with together. So guardianship is a court application to appoint a person to be able to control the healthcare decisions for another who's incapacitated and not able to make decisions.
Okay.
And then receivership allows then the guardian to be able to control that person's finances. So that's typically why you see them joined together, because it's one to make decisions in the place of the person who's incapacitated, and the other is to then be able to control their finances to pay bills that the incapacitated or the patient under the law needs.
Okay. And manage or the issues like if they have like rentals and stuff like that?
So it would be even like their healthcare expenses, because usually the incapacity is the person is experiencing some sort of healthcare crisis.
Okay. Now, what are some reasons for guardianship? You did mention saying it's a personal interest. So, what are some of the other reasons for guardianship, basically?
Well, it's typically in that, as you say, the personal interest or protecting someone to be able to make sound decisions for them. It's typically you see it in a healthcare crisis. So you need to make the application, you need a doctor's report or a report from a medical doctor confirming what the medical issue is. And then that is used to support the guardian making the request to court saying, I need to be able to stand in the gap for this incapacitated or the patient under the law.
Okay. So what are some of those decisions that guardian can make?
So the guardian can make, if it's only a guardianship application, they can make healthcare decisions only.
Okay.
So, but that's why you usually see guardianship and receivership applications conjoined or together, because the guardian then is able to make the healthcare decisions as well as financial decisions for the patient.
So basically go hand in hand at some point.
You see them, the applications go hand in hand.
What can a guardian not do?
That's an interesting question. Basically, a guardian's duty is to act in the best interest of the patient. So if the guardian is not acting in the best interest of the patient, then other persons, like other family members or other friends, could then make another court application to say, hey, this guardian that you appointed court is not acting in the best interest of the patient. So it's a very broad category. That's hard to say. There's not specific things. It's if the guardian's actions are deemed by the court to not be in the best interest of the patient.
Okay. Now, are there any options if someone is opposed to guardianship?
Yes, and it's typically the incapacitated person, as the procedure is structured. The incapacitated person is served with the court application. So it's the guardian that would be, the potential guardian initiating the process. So as the law stands or as the procedure stands right now, the guardian has to serve, once they file the documents with the court, they have to, as it stands, serve the documents on the incapacitated person. The guardian can make a request to the court to say it's not necessary, or it wouldn't be in the best interest of the patient to serve them, but the rule as it stands is you're supposed to serve the patient. So the patient then has the opportunity to be notified that a person is requesting to become your guardian. And the potential patient, because it would all have to be determined by court, can then either represent themselves or seek the services of an attorney to say, I don't think that this is in my best interest because, for whatever their reasons are, I'm able to manage my healthcare decisions. I'm able to manage my finances effectively. So that's what they would have to demonstrate to the court, that they are in a position to effectively manage their healthcare decisions and their finances, and that they're not suffering from an incapacity that's affecting those areas of their lives.
And at Phoenix Legal, are you seeing a lot of this?
With the firm, I've done a couple of applications, but I think if I've given advice as to persons considering it, but it's typically something you see as persons age, and they may suffer incapacities of dementia or Alzheimer's. That's typically when you see it. You rarely see it with the incapacities that you think of, such as like being in a coma or those types of things, because unfortunately, it's traumatic, and then it's usually that person is then transitioning from this life to the other. So you don't typically see it then. It's more with aging. As a person ages.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to the Business Buzz. This morning we have one segment only, and we're speaking with Miss Lisa Donalds. Lisa is an attorney, and she's the founder of Phoenix Legal. And it's a pleasure to have her in the studio this morning. I want to say thanks to our sponsors, Cayman Insurance Center, Health City Cayman Islands, Optical Outlook, Lee's Office, and Cayman Medical Supplies. Don't forget, Brack Medical Supplies now open in Cayman Brack. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be continue our discussion with Lisa, and we'll look at children's legal arrangements.
Optical Outlook Caymanian Village location has moved. Same great services and products, new location. We've moved to Anderson Square in central Georgetown. It's a much larger space with dedicated parking. Please call us on 746-2020 to make your appointment at our new location today. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Please come see the difference with Optical Outlook, Cayman's premier optical provider.
Oh gosh.
Don't let the stress of taking care of loved ones get you down.
Home care, now made easier with Cayman Medical Supplies. 100% Caymanian owned. Cayman Medical Supplies now stocks a wide range of home care supplies. Hospital beds, all types of wheelchairs, including beach access wheelchairs, lifts, commodes, shower chairs, walkers, Curad brand orthopedic supplies. Free blood glucose monitors with the purchase of 1 pack of test strips, blue underpads, and a whole lot more.
Need home care convenience? Drop by Cayman Medical Supplies at 93 Smith Road, Windward Center, or call 949-6211. Free delivery.
Open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Still delivering island-wide for your convenience.
Health City is now open at Camana Bay, offering a wide range of specialties at our state-of-the-art Camana Bay Clinic. We are here to help you save time and feel better. We are open weekdays, weekends, and evenings for your convenience and are dedicated to reducing your wait time while improving your health. Friendly staff, expert care, lab services, and diagnostics in one convenient location from the hospital you know and trust. Health City at Camana Bay, within your reach.
2020. Unprecedented times, uncertainty, and literally a new way of life.
Life happens, usually without warning.
That is why making sure that your family is insured is so important.
Cayman Insurance Center, 47 years strong, working to protect your family and your most valuable assets.
Whether you need to get a quote, renew a policy, or file a claim, Cayman Insurance Center is here to protect you and your family.
For more information, call 949-4657. Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, health, motor, and other lines of insurance products and services at affordable rates.
Interact with Radio Cayman on Facebook at facebook.com/Radio Cayman for breaking stories,
police continue their investigation,
community events, interaction, and more. Join our Facebook family today. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio on Facebook. www.facebook.com/Radio Cayman. Business Buzz. Business Buzz with your host, Anita Khan.
Good morning and welcome back to the Business Buzz. It's 26 minutes until 9 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. We have in the studio, joining us this morning, is Miss Lisa Donalds. Lisa's an attorney, and she's also the founder of Phoenix Legal. I just love the name, Phoenix Legal. Legal Eagle. Now, Lisa, before the break, we said we'll touch on children's legal arrangements. Talk to us a little on the services that you offer relating to children's legal arrangements.
So the main one that most people think of is adoption. So assisting people through the adoption process, as well as then what traditionally and colloquially we call custody disputes. However, custody as a legal concept doesn't actually exist in the Cayman Islands anymore. So under the children's law, it's changed to different concepts. So now you have the concept of parental responsibility. Now, mothers automatically have parental responsibility. Fathers who are married, husbands who then become fathers, and they're named on the child's birth certificate, have then parental responsibility. When children are born in circumstances where the parents are not married, then if the father is named on the birth certificate, then that father has parental responsibility. So the only person that automatically has parental responsibility are mothers. So that parental responsibility is the right to raise your child, and it's the right to raise your child with whatever values or beliefs or customs you think are important when it comes to child rearing. So the right to name your child, the right to raise your child in a particular religion, the right to send your child to a particular school, major healthcare decisions. That's what parental responsibility covers, the right to travel with your child to different jurisdictions. So it's all of those major life decisions for a child. Then you have then the children's law also governs the area with whom a child lives with. So those disputes that are typically what you would traditionally think of as custody disputes, as which parent should a child live with, which grandparent. Yeah, it's with whom a child lives with. So that particular order under the children's law is a residence order. So it's then governing the right for a child to live with caregivers. So that's what a residence order covers. And then contact order is governing who a child can visit. So can it be grandparents, friends, family? It's with whom a child can visit. And then finally there is financial provision orders, which is what we traditionally think of as maintenance orders. It's the ability to financially raise a child and governing how much is adequate to be able to raise a child. Now, in Cayman, we don't have a specific formula to say, okay, if you earn this much, then this percentage of your income should be dedicated towards financial provision or what we know as maintenance. But
yeah, I was looking at your website this morning, and like I said earlier, and I saw where if the father is not named on the birth certificate, he doesn't have any responsibility.
He's not.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That was quite a revelation for me this morning, because I know some single women, they decide to leave the father's name out of the birth certificate. Just maybe not even thinking about it, not because that they're not in their life or whatever the case might be. And at the end of the day, that relieves them of any type of responsibility.
In one sense, yes.
Yes.
True.
Okay. Now, Lisa, what circumstances would warrant a child being removed from a household, and what kind of representation do you offer in this regard?
Okay, so under the children's law, there's a test where is the child experiencing significant harm? And that's what the court would have to assess. As what significant harm? Extreme neglect, sexual abuse. Those are typically the two that you see. Or even a child not attending school on a regular basis is also deemed to be significant harm if it's that extreme that the child is not having the opportunity to be educated or academically educated. Now, services that Phoenix Legal offers in this regard is to represent the child or the family that may be experiencing that type of assessment or scrutiny. How that process usually starts is a report is made or a referral is made to MASH, the Child Safeguarding Hub, which is a combined hub between actually social services and the police. So you have both social workers and police officers in one unit working together to investigate suspected cases of child abuse. Now, when a referral is made, MASH is then tasked to then investigate. So you have the police officers investigating and the social workers also investigating, but from a different perspective. And then the social workers' report would be prepared to support. So in government, it's the portfolio of legal affairs. So it's the civil side that then make the application to court to say, hey, we believe that this child is experiencing significant harm. Now, the police would be tasked to investigate. And if there's any criminal elements, that would then be referred to the DPP for them to be able to determine if charges are warranted, if it's criminal. But under the children's law, that's a civil test. So that would be then the portfolio of legal affairs. They would then, their attorneys, so the Crown Counsels there would make the application to court to say, we believe that this child is experiencing significant harm. Phoenix Legal would be on the other side to either potentially, Phoenix Legal, if it's supporting the child and the child is in the position to say, has a competency to say that, no, I agree with this application, that could then be presented to court, or to represent the family to help them negotiate and navigate to see if there are other ways to address it versus removal from the home. Removal from the home, though, is a last resort. No one wants to do that. Social workers don't want to do that. The police don't want to do that. Removal from the home is so traumatic for both the child and the family. That is a last resort. If those applications are not made on the whim, they're made because they're cases where it's so obvious that the child is experiencing significant harm. Typically, you hear in other jurisdictions the complaint that social services is quick to react. I would not say that about our department here. Our department here reacts when necessary, but they're not out to get families. They're there to support families. That's why DCFS exists. It exists to support families. And yeah, I hope that helps.
Oh, yeah. This will stay with me for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week, maybe. But Lisa, I understand at Phoenix Legal, you also offer services relating to protection strategies relating to domestic violence. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, domestic violence doesn't actually have a definition, and there's a reason for that. It's because domestic violence is any form of power or control that's exhibited in a intimate relationship. So they've even broadened the term, or they've even broadened what is captured in relationship. So even visiting relationships where you don't live in the same household as your quote unquote partner, even that is captured in intimate relationships. So that's there to ensure that any behavior that is truly disruptive could be dealt with legally if that's necessary. The orders and the applications that would be sought, the Protection Against Domestic Violence law is a civil application. It's not a criminal application. The police would investigate if they think that there's a suspicion that a crime has occurred. They would do that investigation. However, a person that's experiencing domestic violence could seek the services of an attorney to then make applications to safeguard themselves. It's actually a very empowering process for persons that truly are in a position to want to change their lives. So there are three main orders that are sought. The first one is a protection order. Now, what the court determines is appropriate could be very vast. A protection order could cover things like you're not the alleged perpetrator is not allowed to go to a certain house, is not allowed to go to the person who is experiencing domestic violence home, like their workplace. It restricts, it tries to put physical space between the two parties. That's what a protection order does. Or physical space as well as digital space. So not contacting on social media, not calling. So it's an attempt to put space between the two parties. And then an occupation order is truly then governing you cannot live in the same space. And then a tenancy order is requiring the alleged perpetrator, if the person who's experiencing domestic violence, they rent a space, then it can compel the person, the alleged perpetrator, to continue to pay the rent. Exactly. So that the person who's experiencing domestic violence isn't financially impacted by wanting to change or better their circumstances.
Well, you do a lot of work here, Lisa.
Unfortunately, and this is the sad part, especially during COVID, it's been really busy. And those two areas, from my perspective, have definitely increased. What I've seen is increases in divorces, increases in disputes over how children should be raised or who they should live with, and increases in, unfortunately, domestic violence. Those three main areas, significant uptake. And the one that's not really being spoken about is the increase in domestic violence in the Cayman Islands. It's insane. And I know saying that sounds colloquial, and I own that, but it's the only way to experience it. It's insane. We have people in relationships that are so toxic, and we really need to do a better job at educating and empowering people as to what a healthy relationship looks like. We're definitely, I think, as a society, missing the boat as to teaching this is what healthy looks like.
And on that note, Lisa, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll look at divorce, firm or self-managed options.
2020, unprecedented times, uncertainty, and literally a new way of life.
Life happens, usually without warning.
That is why making sure that your family is insured is so important.
Cayman Insurance Center, 47 years strong, working to protect your family and your most valuable assets.
Whether you need to get a quote, renew a policy, or file a claim, Cayman Insurance Center is here to protect you and your family.
For more information, call 949-4657. Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, health, motor, and other lines of insurance products and services at affordable rates.
Oh gosh.
Don't let the stress of taking care of loved ones get you down.
Home care, now made easier with Cayman Medical Supplies. 100% Caymanian owned. Cayman Medical Supplies now stocks a wide range of home care supplies. Hospital beds, all types of wheelchairs, including beach access wheelchairs, lifts, commodes, shower chairs, walkers, Curad brand orthopedic supplies. Free blood glucose monitors with the purchase of 1 pack of test strips, blue underpads, and a whole lot more.
Need home care convenience? Drop by Cayman Medical Supplies at 93 Smith Road, Windward Center, or call 949-6211. Free delivery.
Open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Still delivering island-wide for your convenience.
Health City is now open at Camana Bay, offering a wide range of specialties at our state-of-the-art Camana Bay Clinic. We are here to help you save time and feel better. We are open weekdays, weekends, and evenings for your convenience and are dedicated to reducing your wait time while improving your health. Friendly staff, expert care, lab services, and diagnostics in one convenient location from the hospital you know and trust. Health City at Camana Bay, within your reach.
Optical Outlook Caymanian Village location has moved. Same great services and products, new location. We've moved to Anderson Square in central Georgetown. It's a much larger space with dedicated parking. Please call us on 746-2020 to make your appointment at our new location today. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Please come see the difference with Optical Outlook, Cayman's premier optical provider.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Business Buzz. Business Buzz with your host, Anita Khan.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Business Buzz. We're speaking with Miss Lisa Donalds. Lisa is an attorney, and she's also the founder of Phoenix Legal. Good morning again, Lisa.
Good morning.
Good to have you in that hot seat.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We're happy to have you as well. Before the break, we'll touch on divorce. Now, divorce, is it, we're speaking firm or self-managed options? Can you explain a little bit on that?
This is something that and to be honest, I kind of started marketing where obviously there's a firm option, which is the firm assists persons to navigate the process of getting divorced in the Cayman Islands. However, self-managed is for the persons who are a little bit savvy and they are comfortable filing documents themselves. They just need the documents drafted, and then they can do the filing. It's done in a way where it's a 2-stage process. So you do the initial documents and then the second set of documents. So it allows people to be able to control the process themselves without having to pay the same amount of fees as if the firm did it. In comparison to other services on island. It's typically when people want to get divorced, their fear is I'm going to have to pay significant legal fees, and then they usually stay in relationships that they don't necessarily want to be in. Even if they've moved on into a different relationship, they're still legally tied to someone else, even though they don't want to be. So it's to provide people the ability to truly create the life that they want. That's why, one of the reasons why I created this space and created the entity.
We're happy you did.
Thanks.
Sometimes you think about love, and when you're in love, you get married and all that, and then it gets this sour. It gets to this stage, you end up paying for love, basically.
And that's exactly it. Like, I couldn't understand why. I mean, I get the ethos of wanting to do things on a time spent basis that most attorneys practice. And it's not that it's not that the firm doesn't have an hourly rate. However, especially if you're going through something emotional and traumatic and you're feeling all your feelings, to be looking at a bill that is just high for most people's salary range here, that's even further triggering to the process. So yeah, I don't feel comfortable putting people in that position. It goes back to one of the initial firm's value: accessibility, accessibility in responsiveness, and accessibility in price point.
Okay. Now, Melissa, what are the grounds upon which a divorce may proceed? I'm pretty sure you have about 5 of them.
There are 5. The main one that most divorces are filed under in the Cayman Islands is unreasonable behavior. Now, what is unreasonable? That's anything could be determined to be unreasonable. So we don't have a no-fault basis. So unreasonable behavior is 99.9% of the time what the petition is based on. Who am a spouse, I'm claiming that my other spouse is unreasonable, or civil partner, now that we have civil partnerships in the Cayman Islands. So then you have the ground of adultery, desertion for 2 years, separation for 2 years with consent, and then as well as separation of the party for 5 years. So those are the other grounds. With the adultery, which is, we know, a common experience, unfortunately, in the Caribbean, in the Cayman Islands, you have to name that third party, the other person. So that other person is actually part of the divorce. It's part of the proceedings. And I understand wanting to name and shame. I get that. I understand it. However, the flip side means that other party has access to all your financial records if it becomes a dispute over finances, access to all of your intentions as to what you want, if they're children of the relationship, what your desires and hopes, wishes are for your children, because they are considered another player or another party in the proceedings. So to me, I typically advise my clients not to file under the ground of adultery, because it means that other person has access to all that information. And the way I see it, to be honest, you've already experienced the infidelity. Why then go through the trauma of providing that person further information? I just think you're triggering yourself a multitude of times,
especially if you don't have plans to be with that person.
You're giving the third party. Basically giving either the mistress or the other guy or the other woman, whatever it is, access to all of that information about yourself. And you've already experienced a wrong that most people's society would say is wrong. Why then give that person access to all that information? You can still file under the ground of unreasonable behavior and not name that third party and give that third party that level of access to your life.
I didn't know that either. Note to self. Now, how long does it take to get a divorce, Lisa?
That's how long is a piece of string. If parties agree, it can be very quick. If parties are fighting,
take a while.
It could take a while. It could take years. It depends on the level, what they're fighting about. If it's children or even assets, the level of where the assets are. If it's an issue of financial disclosure, where are those assets in the world? So,
yes, I have a million other questions for you under this topic, but we're almost out of time. So we're going to jump straight into wills. What is a will and why is it important?
A will simply is your wishes as to what you would like to happen, primarily with your assets after death. That's a will. Okay. What you would like to occur with your assets.
And why should someone make a will?
Well, if you don't make a will and you do have assets when you pass away and transition, then those assets would be divided according to the succession law. So that government has set rules. the asset division would be according to the succession law. And typically when people learn as to what the succession law says, they don't want that asset division to occur.
How does someone have access to that?
To the succession law? Well,
law?
Now government is great. There's a free website, www.legislation.gov.ky. We now have laws online. So yeah, basically, we government has put in place a website to access most legislation that governs behavior and our lives in the Cayman Islands.
And I'm pretty sure in your line of work, time and time again, you've seen a will contested or challenged.
Yes, but that's actually quite rare. To be honest, that is quite rare. Usually wills are honored. When wills are contested, it is typically seems to be it's usually a question of if there's undue influence as to why that person signed what they signed.
They weren't in the right.
Exactly. They weren't in the frame of mind. Yeah. Exactly.
And what happens if someone dies without having a prepared will? And you did we know about the succession law,
exactly.
2006. But what steps can the surviving spouse or children take just in the event that there's
they've died without.
Yeah.
Okay, so what that surviving spouse or children can do is there's a process called administration. So if a person passes with a will, the process after death is called probate. If the person passes without a will, the process is called administration. Surviving family members can apply to the court to become an administrator to administer the estate according to the succession law and divide the assets according to that law. So that's the process if a person dies without a will.
I know there's a whole lot more you can share, Lisa. You've got prenup and stuff like that. But
those are the main issues.
But why should someone contact or choose Phoenix Legal?
Honestly, because I try to do things differently. I mean, I know that it could be deemed obnoxious, but it's the truth. I try to do things differently. I've only now existed. I'm coming up to 2 years in existence as licensed in October of this year, and I've made mistakes along the way, 100%. But I am doing my best to learn from those and keep growing and do better. So yeah,
but before I get your contact details, Lisa, for myself and everybody else out there, can you? I want to say congratulations.
Thank you.
As a young Caymanian moving forward. I'm so proud of you. I've known you from the time you were little. I can't remember how little, but it's a pleasure to see you just blossom into this wonderful person.
Thank you.
Congratulations. No, give me those contact details.
So right now the firm operates out of the White House. It's the rebranded space that's originally DMS House. So we utilize, and it's a fantastic service. Technically, I have a virtual office, but I can access physical space when clients need to have physical appointments. So that's the address that you see, 20 Genesis Close. You can then either call me or email me at 929-4701 or email lisa@phoenixlegal.ky, PHOENIXLEGAL.ky.
And you have a website as well.
As well as the website. PhoenixLegal.ky.
Okay, and are you on Facebook?
I am on Facebook
Instagram?
as well as Instagram. Yes.
Okay. Twitter?
Not Twitter. I need to work on that one, but yeah. Okay. Facebook and Instagram. Those are the main ones, to be honest.
Lisa, thank you so much. We wish you all the best as you move forward with Phoenix Legal. And maybe next time we'll come back and we'll hear a lot more about, especially divorce, those questions that I get to ask you. Cool. I want to say thank you to our producer this morning, Ms. Susan Watson, to our sponsors, Cayman Insurance Center, Health City Cayman Islands, Optical Outlook, Lee's Office, and Cayman Medical Supplies, and to all our listeners and viewers this morning, thank you so much for tuning in. And please have yourself a safe and wonderful Thursday. Tomorrow is one more day to the weekend. We'll see you Saturday morning. Thank you.
The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Medical Supplies. Call them at 949-6211. And Cayman Insurance Center, celebrating 45 years in the Cayman Islands, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Health City, now open at Camana Bay 7 days a week. Optical Outlook, now at their new location in Anderson Square. Come see the difference with Optical Outlook. And Lee's Office Products Limited, at Paddington Place, Godfrey Nixon Way, moving your business forward.
Today's biggest news